Finance Subcommittee. Finance Subcommittee will be conducted via teleconference today. It's compliant with provisions of the Brown Act and Executive Order N2920 issued by the Governor. Members of the public will not be able to attend the meeting at the Campbell City Hall physically. The Finance Subcommittee meeting will be live streamed via YouTube on the City of Campbell's YouTube channel. Those members of the public wishing to participate are asked to register in advance, and there's a link provided in the agenda for that. After registering, you'll receive a confirmation email containing information about joining this meeting. At this time, I do not see any members of the public here to participate. We're going to go ahead and move on with the agenda and the review of the investment policy and investment strategy. Will, do you want to introduce that?
I can, and then I'll also just share the screen too. I've just got a couple of items to discuss. So let me just share the screen here real quick, and then we will go on from there. Just one second. All right, are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
All right, great. All right, so for today, we're going through the annual review of the investment of policy, and also the investment strategy for a year, and this will cover fiscal year 2021, and then it will also give a brief overview of fiscal year 1920 as well. So I'll just go through a couple of topics, and today we'll discuss and review any proposed changes to the investment of policy for 2021. In terms of Campbell, at the end of June of 20, the total investment portfolio at the time equaled 43.8 million in total. So we do show a slight increase from a year ago, but it's still about the same, despite COVID, and despite decreases in the taxes that we've gotten over the past couple of months from March. So we did still hold strong, but I just did want to tell the group the full scope of our investments, and the total amount. And then we'll again go through the proposed the proposed investment strategy for the upcoming year, and also a brief overview of the economy across the country, the state, and then also in Campbell as well. So just to go through the different topics, we're not currently we're not currently proposing any changes to the investment policy in 2021. We propose to keep it the same. We feel that the current policy is still strong, and it will still be appropriate for the upcoming year. In terms of the proposed investment strategy for the year, we still propose the goals of safety, liquidity, and return in that particular order. But we also feel that due to COVID and just the unsure nature of COVID, that we put a bit of extra focus on the goal of liquidity over the year. We still propose that we keep the liquidity target at 3 months, in case the economy should recover quicker, and in case we should get COVID under control quicker. But we will attempt to exceed the 3 month liquidity target anytime that we are able to, and then also anything that gets called in a longer term of fixed income, either an agency note or any type of corporate notes. We propose to build up our liquidity and put it in a life. Right now, life is still earning a decent return. At the end of June, it was earning about 1.5%. We do expect by the end of December that it will go under 1%, but it should still be over what we are able to earn from other types of fixed income tools, and then also anytime that we need to take out the funds to either cover our AP expenses, our payroll expenses, to pay for a CIP expense. We're able to get the funds in a day. So over the year, we propose to propose to keep as much in a life as we can, but also to still try to allow for a different longer term opportunities when we can. And to give you an idea of the fixed income interest rates, other than what we are able to get in life. On the screen, you will see that right now they are quite low. From the 3-month mark, all the way out to the end, it's well under 1%, and it's well under what we are currently able to earn in life too. Now, at some point, I do expect a life to get close to what we are able to earn in other types of fixed income tools, and there will come a point where we need to decide whether or not we should try to back in the interest rates out into future. But again, for right now, I would propose that we keep as much as we are able to in a life to both earn a higher interest rate, but also to protect against the uncertainty of COVID as well. So just changing topics a bit, and to go through an economic overview of the year. Coming into March, the economy in the country and in the state and in the county, it really was as strong as it could be. It was the strongest that it could be in quite some time, and then as we all know, COVID hit around the beginning of March, and there were a great parts of the economy that was just closed down. That, that's this caused a 32.9% decrease in GDP in Q2 of 2020. It was the biggest GDP decline ever. The state unemployment rate in April was about 16%. It's since come down a bit, and then currently in Campbell, it's about 10%. But the key thing, though, that we need to pay attention to is that although the number is high, there's still only about a 2% of permanent job loss as well. And it's quite close to the dot-com crash of 01. We do expect that once the economy does recover completely, and once we get COVID under control, the people who are unemployed on a temporary term, there should be a great number of there should be a great number of those people who are able to return to work, either in their current companies or also in new jobs. Pre-COVID, there were a greater number of jobs open than there were people unemployed. So we do expect that by the end of December, the unemployment rate in the country will be under 10%. Well, also in the state, and it could be around 8%. And then also, if we are able to contain COVID by the end of June, then we hope that things will begin to return, and the economy itself will be close to recovered. In June, we saw a big jump up in retail. There also was a big recovery in housing also as well, and also the amount that people were able to save jumped up a lot. It was due in a big part to what people got in stimulus funds, but it was also a to the fact that uh, people aren't able to spend everything that they can just because there are still certain um, components of the economy that are closed down. But so that there does appear to be still a pent up demand, and although the cases of COVID did the cases of COVID did increase in June and July, um, it's it's it didn't result in a decrease in spending. It just slowed the recovery, and kept spending flat. So if we are able to again get COVID under control, um, the economy itself should continue to grow. But I mean, there are still uh, concerns, and it still is unsure. It will depend on if we are able to get COVID under control. If there is any additional aid that comes from from the from the federal as well, and also if there are any long-term impacts of COVID. So although June the numbers did appear good, there are for sure still concerns, and so again we propose that we keep our liquidity up, just to protect against any uncertainty of COVID, and then also due to the due to the huge stimulus of funds that were that were that were put out. There are also debt concerns, and at some point the country will need to pay back the debt that we are currently taking out. So that could be a problem in the future, and it will be a thing to pay attention to. But in terms of today, the next steps are to take whatever we've discussed today, and whatever we choose to propose to council, and to take it to council on the 18th. So at some point, I will take any questions.
Thank you, Will.
Sure.
Council member Bybee or Waterman, any questions or comments with regard to the presentation or the recommendations?
I mean, I don't have anything beyond what we usually talk each year. I mean, obviously the main question is things go south on the economy, but we've talked a lot about that. I mean, from a finance, what we're talking today, I'm not sure what we can do. It sounds like you're saying we're already pretty liquid and we're in conservative investments. So if this thing stretches on, let's say another year, I guess the question would be, is there anything more we can do other than things the council's talked about already? From just a financial, from an investment point of view, I get the feeling there's nothing really we could do right now. There's no choice.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we're taking a pretty conservative approach, but right now, I do think that we need to build up our liquid cash to the most extent that we can. But the returns that we can expect to get will be under a 1%. But right now, it's the correct approach.
Thank you.
Ann?
So I agree with going with the conservative approach and trying to stay as liquid as possible. I did have a question, I needed a clarification and I can't find it now on the memo. I mean, it's good to see that retail sales are increasing. That's encouraging. Where did it go? Hang on a minute. Okay. In Will's memo on page 3, in the paragraph that talks about, it's the second paragraph about the retail sales. Is that information relative to state, local, national? Is that what's that data referring to?
It's highly both the country and also the state as well.
Okay. And there's one sentence in there that I don't quite understand, and I'm not sure if it's correct or typo. It says on a month-over-month basis, retail sales rose, and it's kind of in the middle of the paragraph, 7.5% in June, following an 18.2 increase in May. Is that accurate?
Correct. So we saw a really big decline in April, and then once things began to open again, there did appear to be a big jump up in May, and then also and also an increase in June as well.
Okay, well that's good. That's encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
What's your sense? And you may not be able to answer this. I know that nobody has a crystal ball, but what's the sense about having a second shutdown, and are we leaning, I mean, do you think that that's what's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a thing that we're still unsure about. The total the total cases in the state, I think over the past 1 to 2 weeks, I believe that they did come down a bit. So we could potentially be at the peak, and then on the way down. But I mean, even if we were to shut down again, it's unsure it's unsure of what type of impact that it will be on spending. In March and April, although spending did decrease a lot, it was also due to people who were unsure also as well. They weren't comfortable in calling out. They weren't sure about jobs, and so they really didn't spend a lot. But although the cases are up, I think that we know a bit extra about them. COVID. I think that people are a bit more comfortable to spend, and although it will slow the growth, I don't think that it will go down to what we saw in April. It could, but the current data that we saw in May and June, it doesn't indicate that it would go down to what we saw in April.
Okay, thank you, Will.
Mm-hmm. Sure, no problem.
Okay, other questions or comments? The committee satisfied to recommend the approval of staff recommendation as part of the.
Good report, Will.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, Ann and Rich, for your participation. Appreciate your time. And we don't have anyone on this call for oral requests, so if there's nothing else, then we'll adjourn.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Take care.